This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Summer tastes like Tic Tac. Tantalize your taste buds this sunny season with citrus adventure and orange. 2 everyday flavors that bring summer in every. Tic Tac Citrus Adventure is a yummy, vibrant medley of lemon, lime, and mandarin. And Tic Tac Orange is the perfect mix of tangy and sweet. Visit us at Tic Tac USA on social to refresh your summer with Tic Tac.
The kind of old-fashioned cop who preferred working the streets and making arrests to taking tests toward promotion. He was the closest thing New York had to a Dirty Harry.
This is One Tough Podcast on the OG Podcast Network. Here's your host, Bo Dietl.
Welcome to One Tough Podcast. I'm joined here, like always, with my man Carlo, the producer.
Ciao.
Yeah, today we're pleased to have with us Premium Pete. Pete's a man of many talents. He's a podcaster. He runs popular websites and consults for major brands. You know what that means, Carlo? Major brands means that they call him up, tell him, what do we do, Pete, to make us sell more of the shit? And that's what it means?
Forget about it.
Yeah, okay. And I want to thank you. Carlo's been trying to get you on here. I've been trying to get you on here. I'm glad you were able to join us today, and welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. First of all, it's an honor to be here.
Oh.
You like podcasting? You like it?
I like podcasting because I'm able to say anything I want to say. Yeah, I like it a lot. Better than being on Fox News where I got to watch my mouth. I don't care.
Well, they want to filter you. It's a nice place. I like it. It's beautiful. The lights are bright. I feel like I'm about to do a comedy show here.
Well, it may be. We turn it into anything you want to turn it into. That's the good part about it. We could go anywhere you want. Let's talk about you a little bit. You were born and raised in Brooklyn.
That's correct. Brooklyn, New York.
You're Italian?
Italian, yeah.
What's your last name?
Gibaldi. Gibaldi. Yeah.
You get more Italian.
I used to actually think that a lot of Italians were only with the vowels. You know, it used to be a thing, but that's not always the thing. Like A-E-I-O-U.
Yeah.
It always was, considered if you had the last letter in your, as
a vowel.
Yeah, a vowel. You were Italian. Now it's a little bit confusing.
Well, now with the intermarriage, you could have African too in there.
Well, it could be whatever. You know,
have Spanish, African mix. Everybody's
My
mixed.
DNA test, it came back a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be Italian.
Yeah, but I'm a whole mix.
You're a mix. Look at me.
Yeah.
I got 3% African.
Yeah, mine's like
Middle
4.
Eastern.
I'm part Jewish.
I
I'm
got
part everything.
Middle East.
Middle
6%.
East a lot. I got like 30% Middle East.
And I'm 44% Italian and Greek.
Listen, that sounds like a good diner and a good restaurant.
2% Chinese, 2% Indian. Not woo Indian with the dot.
Where did you find this out, though?
I did that. That's the
the ancestry.
21me or
23andMe.
I don't know, some shit like that. But make a long story short, when it comes out, you look at yourself. Now, I always thought my honey bunny was, she's from Argentina. She looks Spanish. I used to call her, the S word. And then I can't call her that anymore because it came out. She's 25% Native American.
Wow.
So she's more American than me. I bite my lip now. I apologize to her. I said, I'll never call you the S word. That's it. So, okay. So you grew up in Coney Island until 15.
15 years old. It's funny because Coney Island at the time was a melting pot.
Yeah.
I grew up down the block from a legendary pizzeria called Totone's.
Oh, that's the best.
It's still there, 100 years old.
You say every pizzeria, when you hear pizza, you say they're the best.
Totone's in the top 10, for
sure.
It
is.
For sure, top 10.
The other place. What's the other place you try to get me shaken
L&B's?
No, Prince Street Pizza.
Oh, Prince Street Pizza. That's all right. I like Aton got something good. My friend Aton Sugarman.
Why did he close that place down on 9th Avenue?
No, he's got another one. I don't think that spot was good. But Made in New York was Made in New York Pizza. They got a good pepperoni pizza. Prince Street is good, but the thing is, for me personally, I'm not into tourist spots. Like L&B, I grew up like 5 blocks from L&B.
I remember L&B's good.
It's amazing, right? But it's become a tourist spot. Right, so then everybody wants to, you know what I mean? Yeah, Grimaldi's.
Lombardi's.
DeFara. They had a couple of problems where,
recently,
where they shut down, but DeFara's,
John's.
Patsy's.
Patsy's the best. That's my number one.
I was a cop and a detective in East Harlem, so I go back into the late 60s there, right? 70s. They still got that same friggin' oven, 100 years old, and what they shovel cold. It's probably, I think there's only 4 restaurants that could use
There's like grandfather
actual cold in there. To me, Patsy's is the best of all. But the only problem is you got to eat it in there. You take it home, the friggin' mozzarella rolls off the friggin' in the box. The mozzarella's on the side of the box. It's off the pizza. Because when they put it in the box, it's so hot, the mozzarella ain't stabilized yet. And that's what happens. You ever get that problem?
I always eat it there.
Yeah,
I always wait for fresh pie.
So let's talk about you now. You then grew up. You grew up in Bensonhurst.
Mm-hmm.
All the Gumbatis were there. You had the influence of the organized crime characters.
Mob infested.
And you had the hard work in the town. We're not all mob infested. It's like, you know what it's like? I always say, like, even with my own life, you know, you have good Italians, hard work. There's a lot of successful Italians.
Absolutely.
And a lot of corporate heads of major corporations. So it ain't all the mob guys. And look, they chose to go that way. And look, the end result isn't that good.
Yeah.
There's not too many guys that ended up pretty good after their life was over. A lot of them ended up not in good shape. So it's not a glamour. It might be glamorous for that time you're there on, you know, if you're lasting for 2-3 years, you're rocking and rolling, but they're coming. And the worst is more friggin' rats. The cheese is everywhere. Everyone's a friggin' rat now. So
Sure.
If you trust somebody, the guy who's going to turn you in is your best friend. So
Well, think about it too. Gotti's reign was only about 5 years.
that's all it was, yeah.
So you think about the glamour, you know.
5 it was. He was in jail. He came out of jail, I think, in 85, and they whacked Castellano, and he pumped himself up. But they tried
91, I think they were done.
No, but they went after him in 88, 89, 90, and then Popsy-Dopsy. And, I mean, think about it. And John and I don't disregard this at all, but I've had dinner with him. I happen to like John Gotti, and I say it public. I don't give a shit if people don't like it or not, and I really like John Gotti. He had a great flair. He used to always call me Bodicop, and he used to always go after John Miller. John Miller was a reporter, and he goes, you know, John, you're getting a little out of line now. But he just had a way about him. It was so super cool. That's what you looked at. And what happens is all the old-time-wise guys didn't like all that flair because it brought too much attention. Teflon John, Teflon. And then my friend Jim Fox ends up going after him. It's just funny. I'm having dinner with Jim Fox, the assistant director, that ends up locking up John Gotti. And he knew I grew up with him, but we never had any business. And then his daughter, Vicky, was
Victoria.
my friend Victoria. And I have Jim Fox sitting next to Victoria at a Congress of Racial Equality dinner, front table, and this is John Gotti's daughter, and you have Jim Fox sitting there. Then I'm up in Rayo's. I have Bloomberg.
Rayo's. I need to get into Rayo's.
Oh, you got to talk to Carlo. He controls the
Carlo, listen, I've been trying to get in Rayo's for a while. I get in a lot of spots, but not Rayo's.
Hey, it's a little.
I may have to speak to somebody.
Little odd, yeah, you know. But I have the original table.
Really?
The original table since '77. Frankie gave me, God rest his soul. And I think people like me, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, what's that, potato head? Some Red Son, he's brain dead now. But I used to think they all liked me.
Potato head.
Yeah, I do. I used to think they liked me. Hey, Bo, how you doing? All they want to do is come up to Rayo's because they knew I had table 1. My table's right in the front.
You still have the table?
I have the original table since '77. The big table. I had it made for 10 in the front. First class. Everyone in the back tables, they were in fucking steerage.
Leave them in the back.
You know what steerage is? Like on a ship underneath.
In the
Remember
basement?
the Titanic? Remember the kid there, Leonardo? He was in steerage. We're in first class.
Nice.
Nice.
I like that. I like this guy, Bo. He's a good fellow.
Okay. Now, you have a lot of friends in Bensonhurst, right?
Yeah. I grew up. I moved there, like I said, when I was about 15. I moved from Coney Island to Bensonhurst. It was an eye-opener for me. And, I say mob-infested, but it was. It was a lot of mob. I remember being a kid having a paperboy route and then also turning around and washing cars for, different mobsters.
Yeah.
For $200, I had that Cadillac Emblem, which was prestigious, shining,
Yeah.
And it was special for me too. I was also into sneakers
They were
at that
good
time.
tippers too.
Oh yeah, very good.
If it was clean, even if they always had to have they always had to have this in their pocket, right? They always had to have this
I'm not.
with the hundreds in there with the rubber band. And you know what? That was part of the game. They took care of the little people.
Yeah.
And I remember that growing up. Everybody used to. I don't know if it was hundreds then because. It was back in the 60s.
Maybe it was 20s.
Yeah, we always took care of the people. So now, you got in trouble when you were younger?
Yeah, I got in trouble on and off, but, growing up, I worked on Wall Street.
Were you in one of those pump and dump joints?
No. I wasn't in no, fucking Enron or what's this called?
Jordan
Boiler
Belfort.
room
No,
shit.
Jordan Belfort. You know what?
Even,
Oakland. Stratton, Oakland.
Stratton, Oakland. Yeah, that was like in Long Island, though, I think.
Yeah, so you could have driven them over there.
Nah, I never really went to Long Island. It was too far. I had a girl one time from Mineola that I used to visit out there. It was like fucking...
Was it worth it?
Exit. She was all right.
God.
You know what I mean? But just messing around, like just growing up, it's funny. I tell people this sometimes. It was hard to stay out of trouble the way I grew up in Brooklyn. And some people say, that never get in trouble. They wonder, why is it hard to stay out of trouble? And I just remember, always being involved in like graffiti and wanted to hang out on the corner and it just found trouble, man. And I wound up, a couple of times I would get brought home, but I was young, so the cops, will let me go, as long as my mother said something.
Well, when the cops brought me home, never brought me home, because the only time I went home with my interaction with this big Irish cop, we were in the park. It was dark. I was sitting on the bench. He hit me with the nightstick. I still got my bone in my knee. It's got a crease in it from hit me. I limped home. Worst thing I did was I admitted to my father. He said, "What happened to you?" He was born in Germany. My mother's Sicilian. Born in Sicily.
Nice.
But
that's where I'm from.
But the Nazi guy used to beat the living shit out of me just normal. If I looked at him wrong, he used to call me a little fucking guinea. And I didn't know what that meant when I was little. And as he would beat me up, he'd call me that. And I never realized what that meant. I guess I looked Italian. Yeah. But to this day, my father's my biggest influence, because he beat the living shit, kept me straight, kept me away from Gotti and Scopo and all that. Sure. Kept me in the right direction. Otherwise, I would have been part of them. I'd be dead now, because if I became a hitman, I would have been the best hitman. I would have been dead or doing life in jail, because whatever I do, I would do the best. So if I was a wise guy, I would have worked my way up. I would have whacked more people. I would have worked my way up. Maybe I would have got whacked. So sometimes your life goes in mysterious directions. I went in the right way, I really believe, not going that way.
Sure.
But I had the respect from all that side, because I never got involved with that as a cop. I only worked in the African-American, Hispanic neighborhoods where the crime was really high, and protected the people on the street. Now, when you're growing up, how'd you get involved with the drug shit? Was it the money?
Just, fast money. It was easy. You grew up, I was around so many different people. So I was around mobsters. I was around regular street kids. I was around regular guys that worked. So, like you say, there was people that, went straight edge, and when there's people who just were either bound to die. For me, just getting caught up with stuff like that was a quick money. Quick money for some, that's one thing I'm so glad now as I'm in my 40s. When I was younger, it was like all I cared about was the flash. And I realized, I always tell this about people, we rather look good than be good. Like, you rather have like a nice chain on, a watch, but meanwhile, maybe like your rent is not paid or your mortgage. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of people rather
nice
look good.
Nice new car, but don't have money to go.
Or live at their mom's.
Californians, like I go out to L.A., every shitbird out there has got a leased car, fancy-ass car, but when the bill comes for the friggin' dinner, they're like fucking alligator arms. Like, and I pick up all the checks. I think all of Los Angeles waits for Bo to come to L.A. to friggin' eat dinner. And
what are you eating, by the way?
I like Maestros. I like Maestros. A few joints.
What's your favorite dish?
Not
from that place. In general, what's your go-to dish?
You know what? I'm very ambidextrous. I've been into this Greek shit lately with the fresh fish, with the tomatoes, the Greek salad, and with the with the octopusy and all that shit. I like that. That's one of it's been my favorite. Like Milos is a favorite of mine too. And I don't know, but I like a steak now and then. Not that much of a steak, but then I also like to try that. I like sushi. I like all that sushi shit, too.
Blue Ribbon? You ever go to Blue Ribbon Sushi?
No. Where's that?
There's one on, 58, I think, and there's one downtown.
There's a Japonica.
Sugarfish?
Japonica is a sleeper. Japonica is down University, off of 14th Street. You can't make a reservation. You got to get there early at 5:30. You get in there. Best sushi in the world. I'm telling you. They give the freshest with the toro, it melts in your mouth and shit like that. I shouldn't even talk about it because there'll be more people going there. But Japonica is the sleeper of New York sushi restaurant, and it's been around a long, long time. And then my friends own the Sushi Sushi Shama. The sergeant owns it. The kid that owns it has one in Miami. And I like my friend there, Robert De Niro's place there on 57th Street. Noble.
57.
Yeah, with Drew Newport. Did we ever have him on our show?
No,
Drew?
he hasn't been on yet.
He lost a lot of weight. Bring him on. He get fit now. So cool.
Gotta have De Niro on.
Yeah,
I got caught up with just trying to make fast money, and got caught up, and I was in between trying to figure out life. For me, it was honestly, it was very, very scary, to figure out like what I wanted to do. I had a kid at a young age, and it was like life changing for me. Like I knew I had to wake up.
How old were you when you had your child?
21.
Oh, you're a child yourself, yeah.
So she's older now, and I'll be honest.
You didn't spend as much time as you wished with her growing up. They grew up so damn fast, and you say, you know what? I was absentee a lot of the time.
Well, and plus too, when she was 2 years old, me and her mother separated. I'm not gonna bash her. Things just didn't work out. We were too young, and that. To be honest with you, it's not the way I ever wanted to raise my kid. I always say like, I want people to stay together. But if it doesn't work, do what's right for the kid, because
don't argue back.
It's tough. It's tough raising a kid separately. Like, imagine like you're in the house and you're raising a kid, and then you're outside raising a kid. It's not the same. You know what I mean? You don't see them all the time.
My daughter went through a divorce. I have a little grandson, and the father there is I don't know. I tried to talk to him, but I like.
Would you give him a little?
No. He wanted me to do that. But I wouldn't do that.
Allegedly.
Yeah. But the thing is that, like, she's so broken up over it. But all she wanted to do is have a family and have a father, mother, and have another kid and have a family structure. And that to her was the most important thing. It wasn't him. But now she has to learn to live with the fact that he's there. He has a right to the baby, too. The kid gets pulled this side, that side. But one good thing, the father has a great mother. It's very caring, and I'm very happy about it. I'm happy with the situation. And people move on. That's all. Better than fighting in the house, being still married,
sure.
arguing in front of the kid. The kid doesn't need that shit either.
Sure.
So then what happens when you actually go to jail for a big
Yeah, for 3 years.
You did 3.
Yep.
In state?
State prison. All over Coxsackie, Greenhaven, Wendy, Mohawk. Possession, intent.
Drugs.
I was trying. Yeah, what happened was I had a gambling debt. That's I've told this story a bunch of times, but I had a gamble. I was gambling, and I got real hooked into gambling, and my friends said, "Hey, you can make some quick money."
Don't feel bad about it, because I had an addiction to gambling too. But the only problem was that I was making real good money, and I was pissing it away, paying off casinos and football bets. And today I look back at the money that I pissed away, and I said, "What an asshole!"
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah, I went through that.
Sure.
And I'm sorry I did it. But, do I have regrets? I had 2 Bentleys, I had my own jet, share jet.
Nice.
Jet. I had it all. Am I sorry? Patek Philippe's, all that bullshit. Am I sorry? No, that's how I lived my life. Now it's just a shame that I'm closing in on 70, and now you have to think about your future, because it comes up fast. And everyone has to realize that fast money's great, but you got to remember that it ain't going to be there all the time. You've got to plan for the future. And if one thing everybody said, well, you're one to talk, you pissed away more money than anybody. I did. But I'm trying to teach other people from my mistakes that you don't have to make them.
I told that to somebody. It's funny you say that. I remember I always try to, my style is, like I consider myself a Renaissance man. And I'm involved in a lot of different things. I came back from things I never thought I would come back from. Changed my life around. But more importantly, I remember telling somebody. I try to always give people advice on marriage or kids, and to be there. And I have this mantra I call presence over presence. Like, being in your kid's life is the best gift you can have, because people just want to buy them. But point to you that you're making is a lot of times people will say something about, I want to be there for the kid, or they don't want to be there. Some people are like, look, you've been divorced. What could you tell me? And I'm like, I could tell you what not to do.
Right.
I could tell you what mistakes I made.
Well, that's what I'm trying to bring out.
No, that's what I'm saying.
When you knocked yourself about being a gambler, I brought up the rear with you.
And I appreciate it.
And because I understand it. And in reality, when you need that money, then all of a sudden, you're not paying the proper taxes. Then when it comes around to tax, where are you going to get the money? You got to sell houses. I mean, if you have them, then you got to take the stuff you got to pay for the habit you had. And you want to know something? It's understandable, but with people listening to us today, they can understand it's touched upon whether you have a lot or a little. Gambling is terrible. Drinking is terrible. I mean, an addiction is terrible.
Yeah, and abusing something too much, anything of that you abuse too much is never no good. But yeah, so I moved, came back from that. I really think overall, man, I really think that I'm thankful to be around. I've been through a lot of different things. I've been through obviously some prisons. I worked in Wall Street, and I will say. And you could understand this totally, Bo. Having relationships with so many people are what has been the backbone to me.
Network.
Yeah. Because it's so, like you say, you have this guy here, Rayos here, this right here. That took years of building. Wow. It took years of networking, years of people trusting who you are, years of you doing good by people. And
Carlo runs my company.
Yeah.
He runs me. He runs my company. He knows the network that we have. I mean, it's a network that I'll compare it to anybody. I mean, I could reach out to anybody at any time. And I mean, it took a lot of dinners, a lot of spending, a lot of money, entertaining and all that, networking. When I should have been home with my kids more, I was out every night networking. Even when I was a cop, I never went home because I was always out there hustling, being the best detective and all that crap. But I took away I have two sets of kids. I took away from both of them that I say to myself, wow, they got fast. They get old fast and they grow up fast. And that's a derelict in my life, was not being as good as father as I really should have been. That's something. But let's go back to you now.
Are you still here?
I'm still here. I'm still swinging. Yeah. I just did 2 sets of 80 push-ups this morning, so I'm still in good shape. I still could throw punches. So don't think that I'm 70 years old. I got a gun, too. So,
no, I know that. I may have to use it today.
I can't friggin' lose.
Before you go back into me, I do want to say what you just said about your kids and stuff like that. You're still here. And I like the way I've seen you say that. It means, I know you wish you could be there, but you're still here.
Yeah.
Just like you said, look, you had a past or you had something, you had an issue, but you don't look back. You're still here, Go do something stupid next month. I don't know.
Yeah.
Make an Aruba trip.
No, I just got back from Dubai for a day. I went there. No, I do stupid things, but I think it's coming to fruition, right, Carlo? You sent me there, so it's coming to fruition, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead. My bad.
Okay, now. Your lucky break started. You were managing sneaker stores? What?
Yeah.
Like Dr. J's? What was?
No, like boutiques. Like I've always been an early sneaker collector. I was there's a bunch of guys, around, like my friend all day, Clark Kent, this guy, Bobito. There's so many people, in the industry of either, sneakers, footwear, DJ, or that were buying sneakers at an early age and then like won the rock, won the stock. There's very few people doing that. But I was one of those guys that.
So in other words, you bought 2 pairs, one you saved and one you made money on.
No, one you just kept to keep on ice, just in case. So when everybody else had them, when they came out and they got dirty a year later.
I can't believe it. I go along 34th Street. Our offices are right here, One Plaza. I see these people halfway down the block on these sneakers.
Waiting online, right?
Waiting online.
What the hell is that?
And then you wait so long, you don't even want to wear them. Like you wear them twice.
Well, people want to sell them too. Here's the fucking stupid shit with that. I don't knock anybody's hustle. Do whatever you want. But when you're staying outside for 2 days for sneakers and sleeping over, right? You think about how much does a sneaker cost to buy? Okay, it costs $200. Okay, how much could you get for it? It costs $800. So $600, and then go by the hours that you stayed out there for 2 hours, like you work for fucking $8 an hour. So for me, and then
but you should buy 4 pairs then.
But sometimes you're only limited one pair,
limited one
or
pair.
Maybe 2 pairs. That's why, and I'll tell you this: in anything you do, and that's why I'm proud. Of making it back in my life and being able to rub shoulders with different people. I do want to say this. I want to give an understanding of my baby shower for my son. My daughter's going to be 20. My baby shower, my son's 4. I pressed the reset button. Carl Banks, my friend Just Blaze was a legendary producer. Secret Service. I have some friends there too. A couple of these guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the point I'm making, I remember my mother turned around and told me, says, Pete, you know one thing I love about you? You know everybody. how the hell is this guy in here? And Joey Bomboots, Secret Service is here with the fucking guns on their clip. Your father's going crazy. Carl Banks is here. And when she said that, I really realized that, wow, it's like I've always kept myself in a lot of rooms. I've always, been someone that, never just like closed mind, never was just one person. I remember somebody told me years ago, hey, you're Premium Pete. What a name. You're that sneaker guy, right? And I'm like, yeah. But then I was like, fuck. And then from that day on, I remember this many years ago, I was like, I'm going to be no more than a sneaker guy. And that's when I started getting into, obviously we got into podcasting very early, producing shows, working with different brands, helping them connect to different people. So then I was like, so then somebody wouldn't think I'm just a podcast. Like, you're not just a cop, you know what I mean? Or a former cop, right? Or you're not just somebody that runs, say, the business here. And I'm sure you may be a good fucking bowler. You know what I mean? Or you may be a real estate agent. So that's what I always wanted. I wanted to be able to do that. But I grew up in a neighborhood where a lot of kids didn't believe in that shit. My friend, listen, I've been in podcasting almost over 10 years.
Wow.
Okay. It started when people were calling it cute. I had a dear friend, rest in peace, Combat Jack. He was an entertainment lawyer, Jay-Z's entertainment lawyer, Dame Dash, Diddy. And we started, I started with him and a bunch of other people. But the point I'm making is I remember my friend when I just started from my neighbor. I still got a couple of friends from my neighborhood. I try not to keep too many, or else I get in trouble. I remember him telling me, like, who the fuck wants to hear you talk, like on a radio or something like that? Yeah, I got emails from Nova Scotia and Jakarta of how they love the show.
We're very, what is this, 62 podcast?
Yep.
And I actually have people calling me up, say, Bo, we love your podcast. You know what it is? We talk like we just had a congressman on, Peter King. I mean, we talk about interesting stuff. Your story is as interesting as his, because your story is about reality, about a regular person growing up in a regular neighborhood, getting in trouble, touching the stove, burning your hand, getting right, and then saying, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to make Premium Pete be something more than just the sneaker guy.
Sure.
And now you mention other guys like Jay-Z and Puff Daddy. I go back with all of them. I go back with Puff Daddy when he got locked up with CCNY, when they had the shooting in New York. Yeah. We handled that. Jay-Z with the stabbing, we handled. I know these guys very, very well. And it's just, Clive Davis calls me up one thing. It's just, it's a remarkable thing of networking and how all these things, like you just said, you bring them together. When I had my 50th birthday, almost 20 years ago, 19 years ago, at Cipriani's 42nd Street, who was there? Every chairman, Jack Welch, General Electric, Sumner, Redstone, Viacom, you had Trump, everybody, Stephon Marbury, Mike Piazza, you had 3 United States senators. Everybody that was the most powerful people were at my birthday party. Gotti was there too. I mean, everything was like, well, Gotti's daughter was there. No, John didn't come. His daughter.
Victoria?
Victoria was there. And I'm going to tell you something. It's remarkable how a person's life touches all these different areas, just like what you just said, how your life from a kid from Bensonhurst now touches these mega people. Now, they were nobody either. Let's face it, Jay-Z was a drug dealer from Brooklyn. That's what he was, man. And he got to be kissing his ass in his window every day. Man, this is Jay-Z. I think it was not the Howard Houses. Because I was a detective.
Marcy Project.
Marcy Project. When I was a homicide guy, they were running around shooting people there. My point was, this is a guy who's picked himself up. I give a lot of credit to Jay-Z.
He's inspiring.
This guy is inspiring. And I tell you what, when I see him the next day, he knows me very well. And I would just say, I'd love to have a drink with him. And you should reach out to him, bring him up to Rayos. And you know what? I'd like to say, you know what? You're some cool motherfucker. That's all. From being a drug dealing punk ass bitch from Marcy Houses, now you're the man. And you're looked up upon by everybody, including me. How you've made such a success. You married this beautiful woman, and you guys are the king and queen of the music industry. I love it. That's taking a guy who's so down. I mean, what's the difference between getting popped or locked up?
Yeah. I mean, Jay-Z is inspiring, man, especially for being from Brooklyn. I know a lot of people look back at past, but everybody has a past,
right.
You know? I'll tell you one thing for me, too, when I realized that, and obviously sneakers and streetwear and just being a New York kid and knowing, I remember Nike guys used to come down and they used to be like, what's going on in the area? What are people wearing? And I would bring them around and take them to West 4th Street and take them to, Rucker Park and take them and show them what's going on. But when I really realized that growing up in New York, I think you come up with this style of like,
we kind of glossed over it. How did you go from A to B? Like, how did you go from just you're managing the sneaker store to now Nike's coming to you to see what's hot and what people are wearing?
Well, from being friends with people. I'll give you an example. This is when I first realized that. So Kelly Ripa, Wayne Brady, Drake before he even became big. I could keep on. Nicki, it's John Mayer. I could keep on going on of how many people I didn't realize. They would come look for a certain sneaker. We were boutiques.
In the shop.
Yeah. So we'd come.
Where was the shop?
There was one on Spring Street. We had another one right across the street from Spring Street, right on Spring and Lafayette. So here's the thing. So they would come in, and if they wanted a certain sneaker.
I know what you did.
Yeah.
You took some of the hot sneakers, you put them in the back, and then you waited for them to come in. Yeah, we all saw it. But I'm saving a pair for so-and-so. Yeah, he's going to give me $1,000 for him. What do you want to do? 2? You got him. That's the way I would play.
No, of course. But think about it. But think about it this way: when they don't know who I am, right? But you become important to them because they want a pair, especially if their sons are driving them crazy, right? So this is the first time I realized.
They don't want to wait on fucking line.
Well, exactly. So now you're their connect. So I remember even John Mayer coming in or Kelly Ripa was like, I need these for my son. I was like, well, we don't have your size, but I could probably get them for you. You know what? Take my number. And I was like, all right, and next thing you know, that became normal. So then next thing you know, I started to build up this contact with all these different people.
Did the owners of the sneaker place knew that you had a side fucking business shaking these people down?
No, it wasn't side. It was for the business.
Come on. Statute of limitations over.
No.
Come on.
No, I'm dead serious.
So if you got $2,000 for a pair and there only $1,000, you then took the other $1,000 in your pocket?
No.
Carlo, you believe in Carlo?
The connection is more valuable.
Carlo,
well, look, it did.
Carlo, you believe in Carlo?
Well, it did work out to be.
Pete, come on. No. I read people's eyes.
Go ahead.
Now, I'm not saying anything's wrong. You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. It's a tough thing being.
Well, if I want a table at 11 Madison over there at that friggin' restaurant, and I got to give the guy $200, I give the guy $200. I want to go there. So my point is, he ain't giving that $200 to the place. That's part of doing business.
Yeah. No, it really wasn't like that. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
For me, I just wanted to add. For me, like those connections I made, I still have today. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of my, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Being able to help somebody, bring him, and that really helped me where I realized I could bring value to anybody. Sometimes people meet like a Gary V or they meet like all these people that they consider to be.
Gary V gives me a headache.
Yeah, well, you got to take aspirin, but he's a great guy. But what I mean by that. But adding value, right?
I ain't selling wine. You got to buy my wine. My wine's the bell.
Oh, empathy wine? That's classic. Bo's on one today. We got to go for a drink one day.
I love to drink. I don't drink before 5.
Sambuca?
No, I don't drink before 5. You know why? If I start drinking at lunchtime, then I don't want to work anymore. I want to get laid.
Yeah.
So I want to go to work. That's it. I don't drink before 5 or 6 o'clock. That's my law. I don't do afternoon martinis because then you're no good for the rest of the day. That's my...
Hey, listen, I like it. Before we get back to what Carl was saying, I do want to say, sometimes life hits you.
Yeah.
And, I look at my life, I spend, figuring out as a young kid and then doing time and, really evaluating how I fucked up and knowing I'm not that person. I came home many, many years ago, never went back. I went back to jail to speak to them, help people, push this presence over presence life. And I will say, sometimes it hits you, even later on in life, about maybe like 10 years ago, maybe like 8 years ago. I have friends at Secret Service. They were going to give me a private tour of the White House. I brought my family down there, my daughter, my sister, and everybody. And we had to give the names beforehand. And we get up to the gate, and they asked me to step to the side. And
they did the background, right?
And they asked me to step to the side. And I have my friends with Secret Service, so they're going over this guy's head, trying to get it. And it turned out to be a problem. And I'll never forget, as my family was already leaving, and then they turned around, they found out what happened to me, and they all came back, and they says, if you're not going, we're not going. I says, let me tell you something, you just get the fuck in there,
go see it,
and you go see it and enjoy yourself. Don't let my past, what did I really even do? I said, don't let my past. And I never forget, I went in the parking lot.
That was a great move.
Yeah, I went in the parking lot, I never forget, I was in the car, and a couple of tears came to my eye, and I says,
I fucked up.
Well, and I already changed my life at that time, but it came back and bit me ass. But I said, you know what? I'm going to conquer the world. I'm going to do whatever I got to do, and I'm not going to let my past define me.
That's great. That's great. That's great advice for people listening, that don't let your past control what your future is going to be. I like that a lot. That's something that really very sticky. Now, all of a sudden, you started this other thing. You got to eat this.
You got to eat this. How's that sound to you?
What are you, a friggin' food critic? What makes your taste buds better than mine?
My family. I got a 98-year-old grandmother that cooks better lasagna than anybody in your fucking family.
I ain't got no grandmas. I got no mothers. I got nobody left. I make my own lasagna with sausage meat. That's what I do.
Listen, I love food, man.
Do you like the lasagna with the bechamel or with the ricotta better?
Ricotta,
yeah.
I like the way you say ricotta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like almost mozzarella, you know.
No, mozzarella.
Or galmad. You know, I say galmad.
I hate people say mozzarella.
Yeah. You know, I love food, man. I grew up in a family. I'm one of the few skinny guys.
So skinny.
Yeah, well, let me tell you.
How the fuck you eat?
Fat Tony, Fat Sal, those are all my uncles. You know what I mean? My mother's, I love both of them, but they're big too. You know what I mean? I happen to have a high metabolism,
so you really eat.
I really eat.
When him and I eat, we look like we friggin' eat.
Listen, I grew up with a lot of kids, 300-400 pounds. We used to go out and eat
just your metabolism.
Metabolism.
You eat everything.
I'm always on the move. You know, I'm always on the move. I mean, I travel a lot. I live in almost by Philadelphia now. I travel back and forth. I'm always on the move, so I'm always active. But I love to eat, and then being that, you know, with sneakers and podcasting and, you know, working with all different companies, I travel the world and I would eat all over. And I knew a friend from sneakers. Again, it goes back to sneakers. Bun B, legendary from UGK, you know, legendary rapper from the South, from Houston. Me and him hit it off real well. We used to, how I knew he was great, we used to talk about Goodfellow quotes. Like, he used to just be like, you're over here now? Yeah, I'm over here. You know, like, and we used to just give little quotes. I have a couple of friends that we do quotes.
You baking a fucking cake?
Yeah, you know, like, it's like, take the coffee to go. I was kidding. But the thing is.
Dickhead? You don't remember those lines?
Well, listen, there's always lines to remember.
No, you don't remember my fucking lines?
Yeah. You being in...
Freeze you, motherfucker. I'll blow your brains
out. That's right.
Oh,
yeah. Henry Hill. That's right.
You're a tough guy.
Hey, listen, you know what I remember you by, and I don't want to get off the topic of food,
what?
But, and you know, I remember hearing as a kid with the nun case, and it was something that was very, very special. You should be very proud of what you've done.
Yeah.
Listen, you deserve a couple of fucking medals.
No, forget about the medals. I think one of the guys that raped the nun, and the other one's I think the mayor of Baltimore, and the other one's running for mayor of Chicago. Yeah. They've been out of jail for the last 15, 20 years. They let them out.
Yeah.
Because the nun wouldn't testify against him. We only got him on a burglary. If I knew I had the right guys, I may have committed murder. Maybe. I never did, so I don't have to worry about it.
Hey, listen, allegedly. We're not giving up anything on a one-top podcast.
I never killed nobody.
No? Never?
No. But then again, if I knew I had the right guys, I maybe would have thrown them off the fucking top of the roof, and I would have just said they slipped. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, Carl.
You just broke a leg or two. Yeah. But yeah, with food, listen, I grew up, like I said, my grandmother's 98. She's still, you know, I'll give an example. My aunt lives in Brooklyn.
Was she born here or over there?
No, she was born over there. I go in Sicily. I go to,
Catania?
No, in Castellamare di Golf.
It's Catania.
Yeah. That's a beautiful place over there.
Yeah,
may have a mob woman boss over in Catania, I think.
Yeah,
allegedly.
I was just there 3 years ago. Very nice. And from, what's that place high up in Sicily? Taormina.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Taormina's beautiful.
Yeah, so go ahead.
No, so we just love food.
That's why you like food.
So we started a website. I mean, I don't even think people care about websites anymore, but at that time we started a website and we wanted to let people know, like, you got to eat this was like, you got to eat this. Like, you got to, like, letting people know this is where you got to go. This is you, and then you got to eat this approved. So, you know, we did that. The social became a big thing. We kind of became like almost like, you know, working with different companies. We worked with Oreo, we worked with Sriracha, we worked with Sweet Baby Ray's, we worked with Dave and Buster's, and we work with tons of people. And now, you know, we just recently partnered with my friend Mark Zablo, and he has a Cogent marketing. We are taking, we're stopping at Houston. We're going to have a festival now. So we're going to tour the world.
Get my friend Guy Fieri, my man.
Why not? We'd love to have him.
Guy's my guy.
So you got to eat. This is going to start in Houston. Yeah. We're going to have a music, food festival.
That's
and we're going
I got a question
tour around.
for you, Mr. Italian from Brooklyn.
Come on.
All right. If we were to go out and we were to get, we call it Italian seafood, and we like the fried calamari with the fried shrimp, with the red sauce. Where would we go?
No, first off, if it's at lunch or dinner.
It's 6 o'clock where we could drink.
Well, we start off, we go to Joseph Avenue U. I don't know if you're familiar with Joseph Avenue. Some of the best galamad. They also make what they'll do is they'll do a steamed galamad, not fried.
Well, you could do that. Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to eat fried calamari, you got to eat it fried.
Yeah.
You eat steamed. Then,
you could do fried. They do fried
I like
there too.
steamed. I like the scungili with the lemon.
Yeah.
But you said Joe's.
Joseph Avenue
What
U.
do you say, Carlo?
Italian seafood?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Ain't you got no place in the Bronx?
There's a couple of places in the Bronx.
They're all fugazi. All right,
Staten Island is good too.
Let me bring you guys.
Staten Island got good. Goodfellas is good.
Let me reel you right in, right?
Yeah, where you going?
I've been eating there since
Umberto's?
the 60s. No, Umberto's. They're only good to whack Joe Colombo, not Joe.
Gallo.
Joe Gallo.
Joe
that's
Gallo,
it.
yeah.
No, they've won the best hot sauce, and I like the super hot. The best place still is Vincent's, Mott, and Mulberry.
Yeah. That's good.
Let me tell you, I go there with my cousin Vinny. He's from Staten Island, Vinny. We go there. We get the calamari with the shrimp, the combo plate, and I get 2 sauces full of the extra hot. Mm-hmm. It's like heaven. And we get 1 little thing of scungili cold.
Yeah.
With the lemon.
Yeah.
Today, it's still the best sauce.
Any wine?
Too. No, I drink beer with that.
Okay.
Because of the agita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, it's.
When were you there last? Vincent's.
No, maybe a long time. Maybe a long time.
Not the side order ones. The real. I'll take you there, Carlo. You'll understand, okay? None of this diet bullshit either. When you go there, you eat like a man.
Keto, yeah. You don't want fucking keto, Carlo.
I wouldn't need no Fredo eating with me, okay?
He's going to count carbs?
He sometimes, I see him in the office. He eats these fucking fig bars and shit, protein bars. But I know he's a closet eater. I can tell because he's always on a diet. Because he doesn't eat in the office. He goes home and it's like a fucking conveyor belt coming in. Because I know him. I can tell because he's like me. That's the way I am. I know he's like me, and he's learning. He's with me so often. He learns.
Let me tell you. You know what's going to be legendary? When I have you on my podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's when I'm going to dive into the journey of the one and only, the sick bastard, I'm going to call him, Bodito.
Well, you talk about brands, right? So I get a call from this advertising company out of Washington, whatever the hell it was called. And they said, well, look, they're looking for an actor to play a detective. I said, well, I'm not really, even though I'm an actor, I guess I'm an actor. I mean, Scorsese says I'm an actor. If he says
if
he fucking said, then I guess I am an actor. I am an actor. Okay?
There you go. Start this over again.
Yeah. I am an actor. So I go to Washington, D.C. The guy Sipowicz is there from NYPD Blue. He's trying out for this commercial. It's for Arby's roast beef sandwich. Now, the only contact I had with Arby's roast beef was I remember in 1969 flying to my sister's house, God rest her soul, in California, and her husband taking me out for an Arby's roast beef sandwich. They dipped the bun in the gravy, and it's thin sliced roast beef. And I remembered from the 69, I hadn't had one since 69. Now, this is about 8 years ago. So now I'm there, and they said they wanted a detective to find out about what's that sandwich company? Subway. They were going after Subway. So now they asked me for the part. I said, well, you got these great actors. I said, I'm a real detective. We want a real detective. I get the deal. I get my lawyer, Alan Grubman, the lawyer, and they do a deal for $400,000 a year, 12 days of shooting. That's all I had to do. Unlimited use, so $800,000 on contract for 2 years. A lot of money. Fly me first class all over. We went to the Bering Sea in fucking Alaska. I was on a boat there catching whiting. Bows about the Arby's roast, about the fresh fish sandwich, whiting, Hawaiian King's bread roast beef, all over first class. I put a bill in there with first class. I was getting massages. I was getting nails done.
Rub and tug?
Everything. No, this was, real.
All right.
Best hotels, Peninsula Hotel. Point I'm trying to get at is that they actually paid me that kind of money. They went up 10% from it. So part of the thing was I went to where Subway makes their meats. And I went to this factory, and I'm outside this factory. I put this white stuff on. I go into the factory. This thing was laying there. It looks like the size of this table. And the guy goes, oh, this is the turkey. And I go, and after I come outside, it looked like what do you call those things in Florida? Manatee. It looked like a layer of manatee. It was all turkey stuffed into this pile, and they were slicing it off. And I says, I never saw a turkey that looks like that. And then we would interview people that worked for Subway, and they were saying, I said, well, how long do you keep the meat? It takes 2 weeks to get from Idaho over here. How long do you keep the meat there? Oh, until we get rid of it. I said, doesn't it get a smell? Because if I put cold cuts in the refrigerator, after a week, they start to smell. Oh, when you put mayonnaise, you can't smell it. But my point I'm going at is that they actually paid me $800,000 for 12 days, 24 days of shooting.
Really?
And that was it. So if you got any good brands, I'm a good sales guy. They went up 10%.
I'll think of you. I always try to spread it around.
Yeah, I got a good Q rating.
Okay.
So any things, you want me to wear sneakers, I can wear sneakers.
We'll put you on a pair of Jordans.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that's all.
Good campaign.
Bo don't jump with anything but his Jordans.
Bo knows.
Yeah. But so you started your podcast, and 10 years? You're one of the original guys.
Yeah.
How many people you got following you? About?
You mean how many downloads I do a show? You mean, or you mean social stuff?
I don't know. How many fucking?
We do
people
good.
listen?
I've done 1 million on an episode. Do a couple 100,000. Probably average about 100.
Yeah.
Plus an episode.
But you got the regulars following you and all that.
Yeah, I've been around. So I started with, like I said, we had the Combat Jack show. I did that for 6, 7 years, and I have mine for about 3.
We started with another group. What was the other group we started with in the
Gas
basement?
Digital.
What?
Gas Digital. They're more like comedy focused.
Yeah, Gas Digital. Did you ever hear of them?
No.
On the Lower East Side. The only problem was getting there. We were like on 6th Street or something on the Lower East Side. It was a pain in the ass, even with the guests. Here it's a little easier for us to get the guests over here. But I like the podcast. We look forward to doing it. And the array of, including yourself, Premium Pete is a great guest. But we have cross-section writers, FBI agents that broke.
I saw it. You have Chaz. Legendary Chaz.
He was at the Yankee game with me last night.
I love. Listen, Bronx Tale is one of my favorites. Yeah. But anyway, I love. You have the same style. You know what I mean? I love to see that. The space is big. You know what? Somebody told me the other day. Oh, I don't know if this podcast, like another podcast, is your competitor. I'm a competitor. Like I produce so many shows. I produce shows with State Farm, HBO. I produce shows for different artists, different people. Like I love to open up the space. There's no fucking competition. No. Not meaning this. I'm talking about in general. Somebody was telling me about somebody else.
Everybody else.
It's so here's my advice to you guys. It's a process. It takes time, but what you're doing, I love.
Developing an audience.
What you're doing is, keep in mind, not everybody may like every episode.
Right.
So what you're doing is creating a library. So if they like Chaz or they like, Magnet, what's his name?
Nick Pileggi.
Nick Pileggi. Classic.
Yeah, and like I said, we have people on here, guys. The guy who was involved with the whole Contra scam. The guy
Ricky Ross, the real Ricky Ross.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Ricky.
Freeway Rick Ross. Yeah, a friend of mine.
What an interesting guy that is.
He's making $3 million a day. This fucking guy.
He was the biggest coke deal. But we go from United States Congressman to Premium Pete, and that's the great part about this. And Carlos, the producer, he's the one that he takes a little here, takes a little there. And I love it. I love the idea about mix and matches. Successful Ken Langone started Home Depot.
Classic.
We got him down. We got,
astronauts.
We have astronauts on here. It's fucking cool.
You got aliens next?
If you find a fucking Martian, Carlo, let's bring him up.
He's coming right on.
But what's next for you?
Well, listen, we got the You Got to Eat This Music Food Festival. We're going to start off in Houston. It probably should be about between March and May of 2020.
Nice.
One of those days we're going to start off.
You could do me a favor.
What?
You want to throw my name out with the Guy Fieri? Tell him that I'm involved with it. Guy's a good guy.
I would love to.
He's got a great following, Guy Fieri.
Listen, he's on shelves.
Let me tell you,
he's on shelves now.
The money that he makes with his residual, you could turn it on 24 hours a day. You see Guy. And it's so fucking interesting just to watch him eat. The fuck should be 800 pounds. I don't understand. He eats it. He actually eats it.
He's good. I got another thing you're going to like that I'm working on.
Let's get Guy on the show, please.
Yeah, make that happen. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I got another thing I'm working on, Sopranos Con. I have partners with some guys. November 23rd and 24th at the Meadowlands. Over 40 cast members confirmed. Sopranos Con. It's gonna be legendary.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be. They got the Escalade that Tony drove. That'll be there. They got the Silvio got shot.
You'll
that's
get
gonna
a
be
big
there.
following. Yeah, you're not gonna get Tony. Tony sleeps with the fish.
Yeah.
You know, we were in talks.
We got Paulie Walnuts.
We were in, well, Paulie's starting to.
But lose.
I don't know.
But he'll be there.
Maybe he will know he's there. But the other side of the coin is that Soprano, the original Tony Soprano, Gandolfini, and I were in talks about a TV series about the private investigating. Bo Dietl, private investigator. Then he went to Italy, and we know what happened there today. Choked on a fucking meatball sandwich or some shit, died. Had a heart attack. And
rest in peace. One
of the great actors. I would have been honored, to have him be portraying me in my private investigator life. He's a fantastic actor. And we really miss him. There's one Tony Soprano. Nobody can replace him. Nobody can duplicate him.
Well, let your audience think about this. I remember sitting with my friend Federico Castellucci, who played Fiorio Giunta from The Sopranos. Him telling me that Ray Liotta was in the makings of being Tony Soprano. Even I think they were talking to Chaz too. But listen, I think when one thing I love is being Italian with Sopranos, and I tell this to all the people I talk to about this. I was worried when they were coming out, it was going to be some kind of cardboard gangster shit. Like, hey, how you doing over there? It was so authentic. It was so beautiful. Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, when you seen him in the fucking water with the ducks, I mean, you're like, this guy's incredible, Tony.
Gandolfini. I just thought, my own personal opinion, I thought with Lorraine Bracco went a little far with that. That was good for a little bit, but I mean, continuous
therapy. You talk about?
Yeah, that to me, I get a little turned off. Sometimes I get turned off on that. It's good for the beginning, but to have that consistently where he's going back to, I don't know. That part turned me off a little bit because I know why they ain't gonna be sitting there talking to some broad about what they're doing. Be real about it. Let them go there once. Yeah, well, I'll go to if you have problems with your wife, I'll go to a marriage counselor. But you're not gonna go there every friggin' week and to the marriage. All right, I heard it already. I did it already. Enough is enough. But the whole concept of the show was where they would kill off main characters was phenomenal. And David Chase is a
genius.
And my other guy did the Wolf of Wall Street. Was
Terry Winter.
Terry Winter was involved in Sopranos. Yeah,
Terry was involved too. But it was, I would say, hands down, if not number one, best TV series ever. Mm-hmm. I gotta say that.
We gotta have you there. I don't know if you're around.
Oh no, I'll go.
Bring you out on the red carpet.
I was just supposed to be in one. Chase had me, but it was a conflict with something. I was going to be on one. To this day, when I see David, I was really. Then I told David I want to get into this movie you're doing. He never called me, so fuck him. I don't give a fuck you, David Chase.
Cocksucker.
Yeah, he sleeps with the fish in my mind. One day you'll need me, David. You know what, David? There's no chair for you at Rails with me on table one.
What if they come with a sequel to the movie?
Maybe you'll sit and stare at you.
Hey, listen, in the beginning of this podcast, I had a great time. Thanks for having me. We talked about Rayos.
Yeah.
Did I earn myself a seat yet?
I don't know. We got
all right, then, motherfucker.
This comes before a board. There's a board.
He's got to go in front of the commission.
Yeah, there is a table committee, and I'm ahead of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up on top. Well, up top.
Well, listen to me. What we do every week is we do Punk of the Week. Punk of the Week means there's a situation, something that's really bothering you. So we ask you, what's your Punk of the Week? Something that's bothering you this week.
Carl, do you go or it's only the guest?
I go.
Okay.
And I'll do a sneaker-related one.
Okay, good.
I wanted to order new Adidas sneakers for the fall, and they got lost in shipping. Now they have to send me a new one, so I'm pissed off at Adidas. It's going to take
Where'd you order them from?
I ordered them from directly the website.
Oh, Adidas.com.
Yeah. Tough shit to order them again. What's bothering you?
I would say what bothers me is this week is people who honk their horn and have no fucking patience. It's one reason why I moved out to fucking Jersey. I'm literally at the light last night, and the light just turned fucking green. This guy's hanging on the fucking horn. And in Jersey, that don't fucking happen. Maybe because they're all old. A lot of the people are older out there. But I growing up in Brooklyn and coming back to Jersey and then coming back to Brooklyn, a couple times a week, you realize how much slower it is. I feel like, look, I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy to be doing, what I love for a living. Shut the fuck up, man. You're worried about going somewhere. You're at the next light with me. You know what I mean? So that would be my Punk of the Week.
But
lay off the fucking horn.
You know what you learn?
What?
Avoid the confrontation.
Yeah. I'm like that. I don't get no courage.
You can't. Last time that happened to me, I pulled up a light. I was living over by Ozone Park, Howard Beach. I pull across Bay Bowl at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was out drinking, and I had a fucking headache as it was. And this kid pulls up to the light next to me with the John Gotti Jr. haircut, slicked back and all. And I look at him, he goes, "What the fuck are you looking at?" I go, "I mean, looking at nothing." I said, "You got a problem." He goes, "Pull your car over. Pull your car." Oh, okay. So I pull my car over. Comes out with a baseball bat.
Wow.
I reach around my 9, and I look at him. And I said, well, what are you going to do with that? "Oh, no, man, I don't want no problem." But just shows you. He's ready to rack my brains out with a bat over nothing.
Over nothing, yeah.
And he's my punk of the week.
Yeah.
If he's still alive, because he might have done that to the wrong guy, and then he might have been a body that was found on the roadway.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. To the punks of the week are people who have confrontations. I agree with you. With your car, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You drive on, okay, smile, wave, and that's it. Not pull over. No, I don't want to pull over. That's it. You just drive away and live for another day. We want to thank you very, very much.
Thank
Pete.
you.
Now, how do people get in contact with you?
At Premium Pete on Twitter, Instagram. They can check out the Premium Pete Show. It's available like anywhere on all platforms. I try to really just document people's lives and if anybody listens, I'm sure you'll find something you like. And like I said, I got the You Gotta Eat This has been around. It shows you some of the best places to eat all around the world. You can check it out on Instagram or the website. And we got a festival coming. And again, Sopranos Con, I hope to have both of you guys there November 23rd and 24th at the motherfucking Meadowlands.
Carlo?
All right. Thanks very much to Premium Pete for being here. We learned an important lesson. Never bring a bat to a gunfight from Bo, the punk of the week. So definitely check out Premium Pete's podcast. I listen to it all the time. It's a great show. Subscribe to our show. Give us a great rating on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you find us. We're on social media. We're at One Tough Podcast on Twitter. Bo's at Bo Deedle on Twitter and The Real Bo Deedle on Instagram. And we appreciate our fans. You can find the show everywhere you get podcasts. And also you can follow OG Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram for clips and stuff like that. Email all your questions to onetoughpodcast@gmail.com. We love when our fans write in any kind of guest suggestions, questions. We like to get to those every once in a while. And we'll see you next week. We got a great month lined up of great guests.
Why don't you call John Gotti Jr.? Let's get him in.
All right.
Yeah.
Bring him in. Tell him we sent for him.
Send him. If he refuses, tell him I grew up with his dad. You don't refuse when I call you in.
Who was
the guy that refused? Who was the guy that refused to come when John Gotti called him in, and then they whacked him? And it was on the tapes. Come on, guys.
Come on, let it out.
Was that De Benedetto?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he refused.
A Brooklyn guy.
He refused to come in.
I got some talk as soon as we don't have the thing. I'll tell you some.
And we want to thank you, Pete. And I will do your podcast. Carlo, hook it up.
We'll hook it up.
I would love to. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.